Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yatha Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Sya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Saganaraganatam Vitam Tam Sachivam Sarvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalika Shri Vishakam Vitam Sya Om Madhya-lila Janardan Shalakaya Chakshuran Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namo Gurava Bhistam Supurakam Guraganara Sisha Sambhushitam Chintya Chintya Samastaveda Nipunam Shri Rupa Patanugam Govinda Vidam Ujwalam Varatanum Bhaktiyan Vidam Sundaram Bande Vishwagurun Shah Divyat Bhagavad Prem Noe Bijapradam Devam Divyatanum Suchandavaranam Balarkachelan Sandrananda Puram Sadekavaranam Vairagya Vidyam Buddhim Sri Siddhanta Nidhim Subhakti Lasitam Saraswatanam Varam Bandaitam Shubharam Maneka Sharanam Nyashishvara Sridharam Vanchakopatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahabharanyaya Krishna Prema Pranayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gaurata Vishe Namah. So we're hearing from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita by Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami, translation and commentary by Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. This is Madhya-lila chapter 6, the liberation of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. So Mahaprabhu has arrived by himself to Jagannath Puri because Nityananda Prabhu broke Mahaprabhu's sannyas staff in 3 parts and threw it in the river. So then Mahaprabhu said, why did you do that? So if you've done that, I will not go with you to Jagannath Puri. I'll go first or I'll go after you, but I'm not traveling with you. So devotees said, Mahaprabhu go first. Mahaprabhu's traveling with 4 devotees. He's traveling with Nityananda Prabhu, with Mukunda Datta, with Damodar Pandit, and he's also traveling with Jagannananda Pandit. These 4 persons. So Mahaprabhu went first. When he entered in the temple of Jagannath, he saw the Jagannath deity and fainted. And then he was in ecstatic symptoms of ecstatic love and wasn't awakening. So then Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya had his disciples carry him to Mahaprabhu to his house. In the meantime, all the devotees arrived. The 4 devotees traveling with Mahaprabhu, they arrived and they spoke with Gopinath Acharya, who's Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's brother-in-law. He's Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's brother-in-law. And he knows that Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Lord. He knows him. So Gopinath Acharya is telling that to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. But Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya says, no, he's a young sannyasi. He's very beautiful, but he needs protection. So I should protect him. So this is where we are now. Kohenchari punarapi joga patadiya samskara koriye uttama sampradaye aniya. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya then suggested, if Mahaprabhu would like, I could bring him into a first-class sampradaya by offering him saffron cloth and performing the reformatory process again. So even though he's a grihasta, he's thinking that Mahaprabhu is initiated into the Bharati sampradaya, which is not one of the first-class sampradaya. The first-class sampradayas are the Saraswati Sampradaya of, not the Sampradaya, Saraswati Sannyas division, or another good division was the Ashram, those who have the sannyas name Saraswati, or Ashram. that would be good. So he's thinking, I'll bring Mahaprabhu into a better sannyas sampradaya. The Bhattacharya wanted to reinstate Mahaprabhu into the Saraswati sampradaya because he did not like the Lord's belonging to the Bharati sampradaya or Puri sampradaya. Actually, he did not know the position of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not depend on an inferior or superior sampradaya. The Lord remains in the supreme position in all circumstances. Shuni Gopinathacharya Mukunda Duhe Duke Hoila Gopinathacharya Kichu Kohite Lagila. Gopinathacharya and Mukunda Datta became very unhappy when they heard this. Gopinathacharya therefore addressed Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya as follows. Bhattacharya Tumi Iharna Jana Mahima Bhagavata Lakanera Ihate Sima. My dear Bhattacharya, you do not know the greatness of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All the symptoms of the Supreme Lord are found in him to the highest degree. Now Sarvabhauma is not going to accept this. He's not going to accept that Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Lord. He's an impersonalist. He doesn't believe in the Supreme Lord. Tate vigyata iho parama ishwar agyastane kichunahi vigyara gochar. Gopinathacharya continued. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is celebrated as the Supreme Lord himself. He's the Parama Ishvara, like it says in the Brahma Samhita. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadya Radya Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. So the Parameshwara, that's Krishna, and here Gopinathacharya is saying that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna. He's the Parameshwara. Gopinathacharya continued, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is celebrated as the Supreme Lord himself. Those who are ignorant in this connection find the conclusion of knowledgeable men very difficult to understand. Sishyagan kohe Ishwara kaha kon pramane acharya kohe vigyamanta Ishwara lakane. The disciples, see, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is Grihastha, but he has disciples. The disciples of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya retaliated. By what evidence do you conclude that Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Lord? Gopinathacharya replied, the statements of authorized acharyas who understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead are proof. Since the appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there have been many pseudo-incarnations in India who do not present authorized evidence. 500 years ago, the disciples of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, being very learned scholars, were certainly right in asking Gopinathacharya for evidence. If a person proposes that he himself is God or that someone else is an incarnation of God or God himself, he must cite evidence from Shastra to prove his claim. Thus, the request of the Bhattacharya's disciples is quite bona fide. Unfortunately, at the present moment, it has become fashionable to present someone as an incarnation of God without referring to the Shastras. Before an intelligent person accepts someone as an incarnation of God, however, he must ask about the evidence. When the disciples of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya challenged Gopinathacharya, he immediately replied correctly. We must hear the statements of great personalities in order to understand who is the Supreme Lord. Lord Krishna is established as the Supreme Lord by statements from many authorized persons, such as Brahma, Narada, Vyasadeva, Asita, and Arjuna. Similarly, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also established as the Supreme Lord by evidence from the same personalities. This will be explained later. Sishya kohe Ishwar Tattva Sadhyanumane Acharya kohe Anumane Nahi Ishwara Jnane. The disciples of the Bhattacharya said, we derive knowledge of the absolute truth by logical hypothesis. Gopinathacharya replied, one cannot attain real knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead by such logical hypothesis and argument. So on the basis of logic, how are you going to come up with an idea of knowing who's the Supreme on the basis of logic when the Lord himself is beyond logic. Because as Srila Rupa Goswami says, Anyabhilashita shunyam gyanakarmadi yanavritam anukuyena krishnanu shilanam bhakti-arutama. It's not on the basis of gyan or karma that you understand who is the Supreme Lord. Now the Lord is understood in two ways, by personal characteristics and marginal characteristics. Personal characteristics on the basis of Swarup, and marginal characteristics on tatasta, on the basis, tatasta lakan, the basis of his activities, what he does. So both things have to be there. According to the Shastra, there'll be description of the personal qualities of the Lord. You know, like you may know somebody, he appears as with certain markings on his bodies, in a certain family, in these ways. But then there's also the marginal characteristics, like he does certain activities that show he's God, like maybe lifting Govardhan Hill with one finger. This is an activity. His personal characteristics, like he has markings on his body, on his feet, on his hands. You know, he has those personal characteristics. So, but then Gopinathacharya tells, you know, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's disciples are correct in saying, well, what's the proof that Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Lord? But then they say, we want to know on the basis of, by logical hypothesis. But logic is not a very good way. Just like Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, he says that arguments don't establish who is God. He says argument is not a proper way of understanding the Lord. Not by, you know, challenging argument. So, and like that, logic is not going to help you, because Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he's a very good logician. He knows logic. But he couldn't understand who is God, because on the basis of logic, you won't understand anything. Anumana pramana nahe ishvara tatvagyane kripamina ishvarere keho nahi jane. Like you, on the basis of logic, you won't be able to understand the Lord. Just like, you know, just like an example given is, unless your mother tells you who your father is, you won't know who your father is. You can go on the basis of logic and run DNA tests on everybody in the United States or everybody in the whole world. But maybe, you know, and maybe never find out who your father is. But if you have some faith in your mother, you know, she'll say, you idiot, this is your father. How do we know? Because she's telling you. She knows who your father is. Now, if she's truthful, she may say, well, I don't really know who your father is, she may tell him. Okay, so Anumana Pramana nahi Ishvara Tattva Jnane Kripa Vina Ishvarere Keho nahi jane. Gopinathacharya continued, one can understand the Supreme Lord only by His mercy, not by guesswork or hypothesis. So what's your name?
John.
John. Okay. He's a friend of yours?
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay. Does he live in the same town as you?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
Near Hollister? Or in Gilroy?
Gilroy.
Okay. Okay. So anyway, we're hearing that Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he sees that Mahaprabhu is very young and he's, you know, fainted when he came into the temple, so he thinks that he has to protect him. Gopinathacharya says, you don't recognize that Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Lord. He says, so how can you say that? What proof do you have? And the disciples of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, they say, where is the proof that Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Lord. We have to see on the basis of logic. But you can't understand on the basis of logic. You can't really understand reality on the basis of logic. Reality doesn't follow the rules of logic. So anyway, and I gave the example, which is a Vedic example. How will you understand who your father is? The only way you can understand who your father is, ultimately, is the basis of what your mother says. You can't run DNA tests on everybody in Gilroy or everybody in California or the United States or you have to have some faith, and your mother will say, "Hey, you fool! This is your father. I'm telling you." So you can understand like that. Some things you can understand by, not by logic. Gopinathacharya continued. One can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead by His mercy, not by guesswork or hypothesis. Then your mother can say, "This is your father," and you can say, "Well, how do I know for sure? You may not be telling me the truth." But even if you think that, it doesn't really matter, because he's going to be the person that's paying the bills. He's the one taking care of you, supposedly, right? Ishvarer kripalesh hoita jahare seta ishvara tattva janibare pare. Gopinathacharya continued, if one receives but a tiny bit of the Lord's favor by dint of devotional service, he can understand the nature of the Supreme Lord. Atapi te deva parambujadvaya prasada leshanu grihita evahi janati tattvam bhagavan mahimno nachanya eko pichiram vichinvan. My Lord, if one is favored by even a slight trace of the mercy of your lotus feet, he can understand the greatness of your personality. But those who speculate in order to understand the Lord are unable to know you, even though they continue to study the Vedas for many years. This verse is quoted from Srimad Bhagavatam. The Brahma Samhita states, Vedeshu durlabham adurlabham atma bhakto. Although Lord Krishna is the ultimate goal of knowledge, Vedaischa sarvairahameva vedyo, one who is not a pure devotee and who is not engaged in the service of the Lord cannot understand him. So, gave the example of knowing your father by the statements of your mother. Well, it says that the Vedas are like mothers, so you can understand what is the evidence of who's the Lord from also some idea of the Vedas. Now, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he's an impersonalist. He doesn't believe that the Lord has any form, personality, existence, So one can say, well, that sounds like a good conclusion. But no, that kind of conclusion says that the Lord has no form, no personality, etc. So then the idea of prayer is useless. Who are you praying to? You don't, you're praying to the vast impersonal unknown or something like that. Who do you address? You need to have. So that's what Bhagavad Gita is saying. As we are persons, we need to be able to approach, the divine person. Now, somebody can say, well, there are 4 defects, and our material senses are imperfect. So why would we believe in the supremacy or somebody is supreme if we see that there are all these limitations of personality and knowledge, etc. But what is being stated is that the Supreme Lord doesn't have a material body, and his senses aren't material. His everything about him is not material, so it doesn't have the same limitations of matter. Anyway, I'll go on. So there's, basically, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya says to Gopinathacharya, what's your evidence that Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Lord? And then he says, only when you get some mercy of the Lord can you understand him. Which which brings up a nice point. Jajjapi Jagad Guru Tumi Shastra Jnanavan Prativide Nahi Pandita Tomara Saman Ishwarer Kripalesha Nahika Tomate Ateva Ishwara Tattva Na Parajanite. Gopinath, forget about that. Gopinathacharya then addressed Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. You are a great scholar and a teacher of many disciples. Indeed, there is no other scholar like you on earth. Nonetheless, because you are bereft of even a pinch of the Lord's mercy, you cannot understand him, even though he is present in your home. Tomaranahi do shastre eko he pandita adye ishvara tattva jnana kabuna he. It is not your fault, it is the verdict of the scriptures. You cannot understand the Lord simply by scholarship. Now, here's the nice part where Sarvabhauma Kohe Acharya Kaha Sabadane Tomate Ishvara Kripa Ite Ki Brahmane. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya replied, My dear Gopinathacharya, please speak with great care. What is the proof that you have received the mercy of the Lord? Acharya Kohe Vastu Vishaye Hoy Vastu Gyan Vastu Tattva Jnana Hoy Kripate Praman. Gopinathacharya replied, Knowledge of the summum bonum, the absolute truth, is evidence of the mercy of the Supreme Lord. So this is nice because Gopinathacharya says to, Sarvabhauma, they're telling Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Lord. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya says, what's the evidence? How can you say he's the Supreme Lord? What proof do you have? Which is a good point. But then they're saying, we have to see on the basis of argument, on the basis of logic. But you can't understand things just on the basis of argument and logic. Not everything is subject to your limited knowledge, your limited senses. Normally, persons in this world have 4 defects. They're in illusion, their senses are limited, they make mistakes, and they have a cheating tendency. So those are defects of somebody in the material nature. And those who are above that nature, they don't have those defects. So how are you going to establish the supremacy of the Lord on the basis of logic and argument? So then, and that's what Bhakti Vinod Thakur says. He says you can't understand the Lord on the basis of your limited brain. So then the brain is like a workshop. It's not like more than that. So then the argument becomes, okay, then Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya says, okay, so then what's the evidence that how is it that you understand the Lord? And then Gopinathacharya says, only if you have received his mercy will you be able to understand him. He can give you. You can't prove who is God, but there is one thing is the basis of a logic, and the other thing is on the basis of revelation. Like there was an argument with Srila Sridhar Maharaj and somebody in Lahore, which is now Pakistan. They said, from the Arya Samaj, and they said, if the finite living entity could understand the infinite Lord, then he wouldn't be infinite. Meaning, how could somebody on the basis of their limited knowledge and experience understand the Lord? If they could, he wouldn't be infinite. The Lord wouldn't be infinite. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj replied, if the infinite Lord couldn't reveal himself to the finite being, then he wouldn't be infinite. You're saying if the living entity could understand the Lord, then he wouldn't be infinite. But Guru Maharaj answered, if the Lord is infinite and he can reveal himself to the finite Lord, to the finite person by his mercy. So this is what Gopinathacharya says. He says, you can only understand what is Godhead, what is the Lord, by his mercy. And then Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya says, well, what's the evidence that you have the Lord's mercy and I don't? And this is like, in modern terms we would say duh. The word duh would be like, because Gopinath Acharya answers, what's the evidence that I've received the mercy of the Lord and you haven't? Because I can recognize him. He's there in front of you, and you can't recognize him, but I can. That's the evidence that I've gotten something in the mercy of the Lord, and you haven't. So that's like a moment of duh. If he says, you can only recognize the Lord by his mercy. Of course, there are ways of recognizing the Lord. There's swarup, on the basis of his bodily symptoms. Lakan, on the basis of his activities. Like Ishvara. Lord Shiva swallowed an ocean of poison. Now, I haven't seen too many other people that can swallow an ocean of poison. He's called Nilakanta because he has a blue line on his throat from having swallowed an ocean of poison. Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill with one finger. Now, that's also an activity that somebody can imitate. People want to imitate Krishna, but they can't do activities. So somebody could say, well, this is mythology. All right, well, whatever you want to say. But, then Gopinath Acharya says, you can only understand the Lord when you have received his mercy. What's the evidence you've received the mercy of the Lord and I haven't? Because I can recognize him, you can't. That's like duh. You can't understand, and I can understand. That may be some indication that I've gotten the mercy of the Lord. So, somebody could say, well, that doesn't really prove anything. But as this chapter is just beginning, it'll go on from here. Mahaprabhu reveals himself to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. That's what happens. Ihara Sharire Sab Ishvara Lakan Mahapremavesha Tumi Panacha Darshan. Gopinath Acharya said, you have seen the symptoms of the Lord in the body of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu during his absorption in an ecstatic mood, in his absorption in ecstatic trance. Tabutai Ishvara Gyan na hoy tumar Ishvarer Maya e boli vyavahar. Despite directly perceiving the symptoms of the Lord in the body of Mahaprabhu, you cannot understand him. This is commonly called illusion. And what he really says is, this is commonly called Maya, the illusory energy of the Lord. You can't understand because you're in Maya, because you're covered by illusion. So, Gopinath Acharya is pointing out that Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya had already seen uncommon symptoms of ecstasy manifest in the body of Mahaprabhu. These uncommon symptoms of ecstatic love indicated the Lord himself, but despite having seen all these symptoms, the Bhattacharya could not understand the Lord's transcendental nature. He was considering the Lord's pastimes to be mundane. This was certainly due to illusion. Tekitena deke tare bahir mukha jan shuni hase sarvabhauma bolila bachan. A person influenced by the external energy is called bahir mukha jan, a mundane person, because despite his perception, he cannot understand the real substance. Hearing Gopinath Acharya say this, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya smiled and began to speak as follows. Now, I know nowadays there's a lot of people that argue, well, religion is really not very much happening. Religion is really full of dogma, and they do a lot of wrong things and do a lot of wrong activities in this world. I agree with that. That's true. Religion isn't really so much, something that's of interest to us in one sense. But, so you can say, well, but I would still say this. We may not have so much interest in religion, but if somebody can't see that life itself is spiritual, that the nature of life is not a mundane thing, it's something spiritual, then they don't have any real vision. It's not a question of religion, whether somebody's religious or not. So you have to be able to see that there's something more to life than just, objects and even emotions. There's something more. There's something beyond your perception. There's actually something divine or mystical or, something very spiritual about life itself. That your living is a spiritual experience. It's not a mundane experience. And that's Mahaprabhu is saying, Jiva Swarupa Krishna Nityadas. Everyone's an eternal spirit soul. Everyone's an eternal spirit and soul, and the nature of the soul has an eternal relationship with the Lord, of being the Lord's servant. But you have to be able to see that life is not coming from, what is the evidence? What is the symptom of life? A symptom of life is consciousness. Now, where does consciousness come from? You can say, it comes from the brain. No, there are many living entities that don't even have brains, and they're conscious. There are all kinds of living entities. We see them, trees, plants, animals, even amoebas. Where's the brain in an amoeba? But it has some consciousness. Even though what is it? It's basically a one-celled organism. Yeah, but it still has some consciousness. They've shown that. There's some consciousness. It can learn, although it has no brain. If you present some obstacle, the amoeba will go around that obstacle. How is it able to judge that? How is it able to do that? It has no brain. How is it learning? Ishtagoshti vichar kore na korea rosh shastradrishte kohikichu na loya dosh. Bhattacharya said, we are having a discussion among friends and considering the points described in the scriptures. Do not become angry. I am simply speaking on the strength of the Shastra. Please don't take any offense. So that's Sarvabhauma saying, why are you becoming excited? I just said, we can only understand the Lord on the basis of logic, but why are you becoming excited? And he says, but here it is. Ateva tri juga kore kohe Vishnunam kohe juge avatar nahe shastra gyan. Another name for Lord Vishnu is Tri Yuga because there is no incarnation of Lord Vishnu in Kali Yuga. Indeed, this is the verdict of the revealed scriptures. Now this sounds logical that the Lord only appears in 3 yugas, but it's not. Actually, it's not. Because that's just about Leela avatars. It's not about Yuga avatars. Yuga avatars means that the Lord appears in every age. So then he must also appear in Kali Yuga. Otherwise there wouldn't be such a thing as Yuga avatars. Yuga means in every age. So Shunyacharya kohe duke hoyamane shastragyan karninya tumi koraha abhimane. Upon hearing this, Gopinathacharya became very unhappy. He said to the Bhattacharya, you consider yourself the knower of all Vedic scriptures. Bhagavat Bharata Dui Shastra Pradhan Se Dui Grantabhakye Nahi Avadan. Srimad Bhagavatam and the Mahabharata are the 2 most important Vedic scriptures, but you have paid no attention to their statements. Why he says that? Because Mahaprabhu's divinity is described in the Mahabharata and also in the Srimad Bhagavatam. But Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya doesn't know that because he's not very versed in Srimad Bhagavatam or Mahabharata. Sedui kohe kalite shakat avatar tumi koha kalite nahi vishnura prachar. In Srimad Bhagavatam and the Mahabharata it is stated that the Lord appears directly. But you say that in this age there is no manifestation or incarnation of Lord Vishnu. So there must be a Yuga avatar, and how can you say that there's no appearance of the Lord in this age? Kali Yuge Lila Avatara na kore Bhagavan Ateva Tri Juga kore kohe taranam. In this age of Kali, there is no Lila avatar, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, he is known as Tri Yuga. That is one of his holy names. Prati Juge Koren Krishna Jugavatar Tarkanishta Ridoy Tomar Nahika Vichar. Gopinathacharya continued, there's certainly an incarnation in every age, and such an incarnation is called the Yuga Avatar. But your heart has become so hardened by logic and argument that you cannot consider all these facts. So what does the Yuga Avatar do? He gives the Yuga Dharma. He gives the activity for this age. So the activity for Kali Yuga is Nam Sankirtan. Mahaprabhu gives that. But there's a Yuga Avatar and there's a Yuga Dharma in every age. Anyway, Asan activities for the Yuga. Asan Varnas Trayoyasya Grinato Nu Yugam Tanu Shuklo Raktas Tata Pita Idanim Krishnatam Gata. In the past, your son has had bodies of 3 different colors according to the age. These colors were white, red, and yellow. In this age, Dwapara Yuga is accepted a blackish body. Okay. So. Okay. Iti dvarpara urvisha stuvanti jagadishwaram nanatatra vidanena kalavapi tatashrinu. In the age of Kali as well as in the Dwarpara Yuga, the people offer prayers to the Lord by various mantras and observe the regulative principles of the supplementary Vedic literatures. Now please hear of this from me. So this is from Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishna Varnam Tvisha Krishnam Sangopanga Straparshadam Yagyai Sankirtana Prayar Yajanti E Sumedasa. And this is something of the description of Mahaprabhu's divinity. In this age of Kali, those who are intelligent perform chanting of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, the congregational chanting or Nam Sankirtan, worshipping the Lord who appears in this age, always describing the glories of Krishna. That incarnation is yellowish in you and is always associated with his plenary expansions such as Nityananda Prabhu and personal expansions such as Gadadhar, as well as his devotees and associates such as Swarup Damodar. This verse from Srimad Bhagavatam is explained by Sri Jiva Goswami in his Krama Sandarbha, quoted by Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur in regard to the explanation of the Adi-lila. And then that's a quote from Srimad Bhagavatam. Then he quotes from Mahabharata. Suvarna Varno Hemango Varangas Chandanan Gadi Sannyasa Kritchama Shanto Nishta Shanti Parayana. The Lord, in the incarnation of Gaurasundar, has a golden complexion. Indeed, his entire body, which is very nicely constituted, is like molten gold. Sandalwood pulp is smeared on his body. He will take the 4th order of spiritual life, sannyas, and will be very much self-controlled. He will be distinguished from Mayavadi sannyasis in that he will be fixed in devotional service and will spread the Sankirtan movement. So Gopinathacharya quoted this verse from the Mahabharat's Vishnu Sahasranam Stotra. Tomarage eta katar nahi prayojan ishvara bhumite jena bijera ropan. Gopinathacharya then said, there is no need to quote so much evidence from the Shastra, for you are a very dry speculator. There is no need to sow seeds in barren land. So I'll continue tomorrow. Tomorrow's getting towards, what is it? Pushta Krishna Prabhu will start the Bhagavatam readings at 9:30. So we'll finish here and take some breakfast. Okay. No, leave it going. We'll stop it after we sing. But pull that out. Yeah. Hari Haraya Namah Krishna Jaravaya Namah
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 Jaravaya Manavaya Keshavaya Namah
Jaravaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namah
Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan
Govinda Rama Shri Madhusudan
Giridhari Gopinath Madana Mohan
Giridhari Gopinath Madana Mohan
Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chandra Janardan Seva Sari Gaura Bhakta Bhakti Jai Saparikara Shishi Guru Guranga Gandharvika Giridhari Shuki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parabhajakacharya Statara Sadashi Shiman Shila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parabhajakacharya Statara Sadashi Shiman Shila Bhakti Rakshira Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Bhagavan Shila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Shila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Shila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Shila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Rupanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. Namachar Shila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Ragana Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Dasha Ragana Shad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Premsi Gaur Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasudeva Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai. Shila Vrindavan Das Thakur Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Bhagavad Ki Jai. Narottam Srinivas Shamananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Vishvavarenya Shila Jai Om Vishnupad Vishvavarenya Shila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Shila Bhakti Nirmal Acharya Maharaj Ki Jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Navadip Dham Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Ki Jai. Saparshada Shri Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Saparshada Shri Mahaprabhu Ki Jai. Shri Koladvi Ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai. Soquel Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Seva Ki Jai. Ganga Devi Jai. Tulasi Maharani Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Govardhan. Shri Guna Radha Kunda Kalindi Yamuna Ju Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. All the assembled devotees Ki Jai. Gaur Premanandi.
Shri Bhakti Pavan Janardan Maharaj Ki Jai.